Good evening. Thank you for coming to the Global Emergency Medicine Fellowship Consortium training webinar on the fellowship approval process. Okay, once again, thank you guys for coming. This is a demo webinar, sir. We will be actually in the live environment, so we will go part of the way, but we will not complete anything as this is live information, okay? So, well, first off, we'd like to introduce ourselves, and I will go ahead with our agenda. So first, we will have an introduction of who your GMFC support personnel is. Then we will go through accessing and editing the GMFC website. Then also after that, we will go through accessing the application portal. Then we will go over finally the important dates of the deadline for the match process. And then we will open up for question and answers. Okay. Who are your GMFC support team? So I'll go ahead with my colleague first.
Hey everyone, I think I know most of you from meetings, but I am Crystal. I am your GEMFC staff liaison, so pretty much whatever you need, we are here to support you.
My name is Dawu Lawson. I go by DM. I am SAEM's Senior IT Support Specialist. So Crystal will handle more functional issues. I will handle more of the access issues or if something's going on with the system. But the two of us, as well as our directors, are who you will reach when you email gemfc@saem.org. So, having been in technology all of my adult life, there is one thing that I have learned, and that is a quote from Heraclitus: "The only constant in life is change." We're here tonight because SAM has changed the portal program that you guys are using for the match process. And we want to give you guys an opportunity to see the process from beginning to end and ask questions. That is why we're here, because we are on a new system, right? The first aspect of GEMFC is your website on the SAEM page, right? The GEM fellowships page. So this is a very familiar page that all you guys will see. So this page we call the website. If you notice in our emails to you, we will give you two different logins, but the same password. And so this page is the one that we refer to as the website, which is an IMIS ID is the username. If you notice now, we're not logged in, so you will see all the different institutions, but it will just say learn more or visit website. In order to edit, you would have to go in the upper right to log in. And I'm pulling up the test login I'm going to use. All right. So now if we go to the page for your institution, you will now see a button that says edit. This is hosted outside of SAEM. So we've noticed that there's been a lag when in between the process. So if you click it, just be a little patient with it because it has to gather information from SAEM and with our vendor before it logs you in to the portal. Let's talk about what we can edit on the website while we're waiting for it to load. All right. Program title, which is the name of your institution most of the time. The summary, which is a description of what your program is. The overview. The program URL is a link to your specific institution. The program logo is your institution's logo. The graphics have to be a specific file size, and they are listed when you're doing the uploads and so forth. Some of the most important information will be the number of open positions, your application dates, the application deadline, the interview date, and the application criteria. So we do recommend that every year you review the website to update those information because those do change every year as far as the date, the interview dates, and such. All right, so there we go. All righty. So if you see now, it says program edit. And like I said, this is a live information. So this is Brown University. It is their summary, as you can see. And if you make any changes here, it will save. There is a 150 character limit. So if you look down here, it'll tell you where you are. This is their URL to their website, the image file, And as I said before, the logo should be no wider than 250 pixels. If you do have questions as far as with these edits, please feel free to email GEMFC and we will see what we can do. And so this is kind of, like I said, this is various information. As I mentioned, see here is just a generic, the application deadline is September 30th of every year. But see how it says September 30th, 2024. So prior to June 1st, you would want to change that to 2025 and so forth. So this is pretty much, it is pretty much straightforward. With current alumni, these are, takes you to pages within the portal that will, you can do their first name, last name, their profile picture, and contact information. Okay. The website, like I said, it is pretty standard as far as editing, as far as straightforward. If you do need assistance with updating, please let us know. As I mentioned, and as you have seen, because it's with two vendors in the background, as well as SAEM, so sometimes there is a lag when you're updating and you do a save. You could be patient because it will take a while before you can see that the change has made effect. All right. And when you're done, you can go over here to profile and then you will log out. Okay. Are there any questions about the GMFC website?
There's also documentation in the chat, and we will follow up with documentation that'll be posted on the online community and in the meeting minutes as well. So that's accessible to everybody.
The most difficult part is the portal because that is, it is relatively new. I believe we're entering our third year of using the portal. So if you go to the portal now, you will see the dates. It opens automatically June 1st, 2025 at midnight Central Time. That has already been programmed in. And then it will close October 22nd at midnight Central Time. So what that means is that for the applicants, they will not be able to submit an application until then. And then after October 22nd, they will not be able to submit any applications. What we as admins are able to do is we are able to see pending applications, like if someone has worked on them. What we did last year is we did send an email to the applicants to let them know that the application deadline was coming close and to try to complete their applications. Their applications have to be in the format of their last name hyphen the institution that they are applying for. Because as you know, they will submit for more than one application. We ask for that standard formatting just so that it's easy to read. Someone is interested in your program, they send you, they submit an application. Now, here's the fun part because for you, you will receive an email that lets you know that an application has been submitted. Okay. And this is an example of what the email looks like. So what I will request is that the email address that it will come from is no reply at mail.smapply.net. If you can save that as a favorite so that it does not go into your junk, that will be helpful because this email, like I said, it does come in. The subject line will always be application has been assigned for global EM fellowship application. If you notice that this year we've assigned everyone a username that is GEMFC underscore your institution at SAEM.org. That is strictly for the portal. And also it's a distribution list. So not only can the fellowship director receive this email, but anyone on your staff that you want to assist in the process will be able to. Okay. We do ask that if there are changes that you want to your particular distribution list, please let us know. It is not a difficult process for us to make edits. We can add or remove as many people as you want, depending on, like I said, how many people you have that are working in the fellowship process, because we know it is generally a team effort. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the portal. All right, so when you go to the portal, you will see this page. And so traditionally in the past, you would have clicked on sign in with your SAM member information. We've changed from that.
Can I chime in really quick or ask a question? Where is the portal website? What is it now?
It's saem.smapply.io. So the email would be GEMFC underscore, and this was Brown, all right? And then the password And I chose Brown specifically because they have some old applications. So I wanted you to see that. So you will come in as a reviewer, okay? Because there are three main types. There's the applicant, which are your applicants. There's a reviewer, which would be you guys. And then there's the admin, which would be like me or Crystal, okay? So when you come in and you log in, you'll see it'll say your institution and it'll tell you how many applications you have, okay? This particular one, there were 26 pending applications. Now, these 26 applications were completed, but it was not completed within SM apply, which is why it still says 0. So you will come in and when you hit start, it will pull up the list. As a side note, we are working with a vendor to create a container for your previous year's applications so you will have access to them, but then they won't show because you don't want this continue to be a continuing running list where you would have to look at the dates. Let's say this person right here, last name is Allen. They were submitted to Brown University, as I mentioned, last name and then the institution. And so then when you hit start, it'll go through the process. Okay. So it'll start off with a summary and then their application. You will be able to look at their information. Because this is a recording, I just want to scroll past their private information and it will have their, I want to say referrals, but so then there's the stages, right? So you review stage 1, you will put your decision, whether to interview, accept, reject, or more information needed, and additional comments. And this is where, if you're working as a team, because this is one login for everyone, that you may put in like maybe your initials to say who on the team has worked with it, because it's still one login, although it can go to multiple people. Okay.
Okay.
In regards to that. So
Just to clarify, we now have like 3 separate logins for SAEM. Is that right?
Well, 3 if you're talking about your personal. So there's your personal,
Right.
then there's the Global Fellowship
Okay.
for SAM directories and the GMFC website. So that's the same information. And then there's a third one, which is a distribution list
Got it.
just for the portal. You're able to go through a review, you're able to mark as complete or save as draft, and all of the information that they do submit as part of their application, you are able to see. So as you can see, their resume is included and their personal statements. So you can just, as you go through, so you can mark where you are under additional comments and continue with that process. And so then once you're done with that particular person, there is a second page, which I can't go to because this is, like I said, this is live information, that where you will be able to notify them of your decision on whether you want to interview them further for your fellowship program. Are there any questions in regards to the portal that anyone has?
Can you put up the portal? Yeah.
I'm sorry, here.
That's
Yeah.
so with the portal, you're supposed to go to the Survey Monkey sign in and not your member login and do
Correct.
that general one.
Yeah, so if you notice, so like I said, the login for here will be all the email addresses are GEMFC, then underscore, and then your institution's name.
And is it that same password that you just emailed me that we use for the website login?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So what we did is the 2 logins, same password. Okay. Because that way I work in technology and I don't like having to remember 1,000,001 passwords. Just verify if that's it.
And there's documentation both for the login and the application portal in the chat as well. So hopefully that helps.
So there we go with the login. And so now it makes sense what I was saying. So like I said, this one has 26 applications. These were all from the 2024 cycle. Once you log in, you were logged in because if you look at the top, it'll say the name of your institution and then fellowship director. So that's how, from on our end, we know that these are the fellowship accounts. When we are like, if you guys need a password reset, so that we can tell the difference between that. Once you hit start, and then, like I said, these are the people that submitted applications. So if you see last submitted, it's the date that they went ahead and then they submitted the application to the institution. If you go here to start back and application, and then this will be their information. As I mentioned, applications have to be their last name, comma, your institution name, and we'll go from there. So you will scrolling past because that is private information, but their medical school, you will see their degrees. This is their resume. Okay. And the system, like I said, it does allow you to download the information from the application if you so need to. There's their resume, their CV, and the personal statement and their recommendations from others. And so as you can see, you have the decisions here. And once you hit mark as complete, instead of 26, it'll say 25. Okay. But because this is a live information, we're not doing so. So are there any questions?
When you hit interview, accept, reject, does that automatically send an email to that applicant, or what does that activate?
Yeah, it will send an email to them.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and log back out. And then now we're going to go to our timeline. So the applications have already been automatically set exactly at June 1st, midnight Central Time. The applications will open up, the portal will open up for the students to be able to go in. The students, they will use their SAEM information to log in. There is wording, verbiage that if they have issues with their passwords, to email helpdesk@saem.org in regards to any login issues that they have. So that is the first important date, which is June 1st. Second date is August 20th. That is when the match process begins. So generally, that would mean that you would have received some emails, as the one I have showed you, and you can go in and start matching with the applicants. Ranking is September 24th. The application will automatically close October 22nd. November 5th, ranking closes, and November 19th is match day. Okay. So that is the timeline for the process. As you can see, it is a very rigorous 4 to 5 months. And now we are open for questions and answers. So you can ask questions as regard to anything in the process. If there's questions about support or anything, this is now your time that has been dedicated for you. Okay.
Do applicants have to be members of SAEM to use that portal to apply?
No,
They do not.
they have to have an SAM account.
Yeah, but they do not have to be a
Be a
member.
member, yes.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
when an applicant looks at that portal, are there clear instructions for them how to create an account to be able to apply, like without being a member?
Yeah, there are applicant instructions.
Let me locate that.
That's a very good question. I believe so, because I did glance at it a couple days ago, because I did notice that there was a edit that needed to be made for that. When they go to the SAM website, they can create an account. And I think if I remember correctly, and there's in the PDF, it does direct them to the sign-on page.
Just make it clear that they don't have to be a member, but they have to create an account to be able to use the portal.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. That's a good question.
Yes. Okay. All right. Does anyone else have a question? Okay. We'll just say some facts. The distribution list method is efficient because, like I said, it allows you to add other people, and it accounts for when there is turnover and changes at your institution. That's one of the reasons why we went to there. Oh, Michelle says she'll have questions once we start. Yes. And if you do have questions, like I said, you feel free to email GEMFC@SAEM.org. As I had mentioned, Crystal, myself, and our directors are part of that, and we will respond. We do understand, like I said, this is the third year that we're using the application, and there's still transition. So we've made ourselves available, which is why we've done this webinar and why we, have the specific distribution list so that we can give you customized support. Okay. Okay. If there are no other questions, we can go ahead and end the webinar. But like I said, feel free. There is documentation. We've posted it in the community. We will be sending out another email prior to June 1st. So please make sure you do try to sign on so that if you do have issues, let us know so that we can get you all good and signed in. Okay.
And I was gonna say, this was really helpful. And if you wanted to let people know to sign in using the incognito tab, if they're having login issues, that solved my issues. So thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, everyone, for coming.
Yeah, thank you for your time. We do know these evening webinars, you'd rather be having dinner with your family, but thank you for coming out. And you guys have such a great day. Okay.
Bye, y'all.